Hello and welcome back to the Built Different podcast with your host, Stephen Pettigrew. On today's episode, I wanted to break down a recent webinar that I recorded for business owners, and it's called How Much Is My Business Worth? And it goes into various topics around what is your business worth today, why is it not worth what you want, and how can you actually bridge that gap, build a business that you really love and can eventually be sold for a premium to a buyer out in the market. And there's three key points, three key misconceptions and principles and the build to sell framework, which I'll go through in three separate episodes. The first point that I'm going to go through with you today is the common misconceptions with valuing and selling a business. Now, this is a very misunderstood topic because when you Google something about selling a business, you will get, the first few hits will be broker sites. Now, brokers are the enemy in this situation. They are not your friend. You should not be selling a business through a broker. And I'll touch on that in a few minutes' time. But specifically for SMEs, when you Google something like how to sell your business or how much is my business worth on Google, you're going to get misleading information because most of the stuff that's published online is from big PLCs that actually sell for multi-millions of pounds or billions of pounds on the stock exchange. And those businesses have multiples and resources and assets that, quite frankly, small businesses can only dream of. When I say a small business, I'm thinking along the lines of less than £10 million of revenue, which is still a really big business, but in the market, that's deemed as a small business. One of the key misconceptions when you're selling a business or valuing a business is if you own a business, you'll go down to the pub and you'll tend to meet your mate who sold his business 10 years ago for £10 million and he's got all the answers. Typically, those people talk absolute nonsense at the pub, so it's really important to ignore them. And don't listen to Google when you're looking at valuations for a business. Don't compare your electrical business, your heating and ventilation business, your transport business, even your marketing business to these companies. It's not a fair comparison and it'll skew what it is you actually can get for that business. A really common misconception that, as I've touched on already, is that SMEs should use a business broker. Now, again, that couldn't be further from the truth. I know so many brokers out there. I've spoken to them all. I've spoken to quite a few of the big ones, particularly in my early days when I was buying businesses, and they don't have a clue about small businesses. Now, typically what happens is if you engage with one of them to sell your business, this is typically what happens. They will, on that first call, tell you that they can sell your business for an enormous sum of money. And as soon as they've told you that figure, £1 million, £5 million, whatever the number is, that's you hooked in. And they're doing that for a reason. They're trying to sell you the dream. They're trying to tell you that your £500,000 electrical business in Leeds or your £1 million electrical business or heating and ventilation business in Glasgow is worth £5 million. Now, in reality, it's not. A buyer is not going to pay that sort of money. I'll go into more detail on that shortly. When they have that conversation with you, it's the goal of the broker to inflate the price, build that dream up for you, and then they want to get you on a retainer. So these people are typically call centre agents. They come out of university or college. They have not started a business before. They have never sold a business before or ran a business before. And now they're giving you advice on how to actually sell your business. They want you to retain, and it can be anything between £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 or £5,000 a month just for them to give you a nice glossy PDF, put you on their website, and that's about it. They're a bit of a blocker when it comes to actually selling the business. You wouldn't believe this, but they actually prevent you from selling a business in most cases because a sophisticated buyer does not want to engage with a broker because I understand that they don't know what they're talking about. It's a middleman in between you and the person who's selling the business, and it creates friction that just doesn't get the deal done. Quite often they're looking to get a commission at the very end of the sale as well. So they'll look for a percentage of the sale of the business, and it just doesn't work. To give you a few examples of this, there's many people that have spoken to me who've been listed with brokers for 2, 3, 4 years. There's one in particular I'm thinking of who's based down in the Dumfries area in Scotland. They have a transport business. The seller was told 5 years ago that his business was worth £4 million when he only turns over £750,000, but more importantly, his profit is only £150,000. Now, that valuation is absolutely ludicrous. And that guy was on this broker site for 4 years, didn't receive a single offer for his business. But because he has been told from what's perceived as a professional advisor that his business is worth 4 million, psychologically, he cannot climb down from that figure. And that happens all the time. Same with a recruitment business in the Edinburgh area that I was speaking to a year ago. He had a valuation of 2.5 million for his recruitment business, and his profit level, if I remember correctly, was around £300,000. Now, again, this is a company with invoice financing and debt within the business as well. This is not a sensible valuation, and there's no surprises, the business didn't sell. Now, this happens all the time across many industries, and these brokers are well known for exploiting business owners like you in that situation. So if you're a small business owner, my main takeaway I want you to have from this podcast is do not use a business broker. Speak to other people who've actually sold businesses or built up businesses. We can help you with that as well at Monopoly Capital, but speak to people who've actually bought and sold businesses, not people who've started a new job 6 months ago, coming from university and have no clue about the market. They're not in tune with reality. The other misconception is that it's a seller's market. Well, it's not a seller's market, and the reason for that, a business is only worth what a buyer is willing to pay. And there's a really small amount of serious, sophisticated buyers out there who actually buy businesses. There's also a trend just now where there is the baby boomer generation who are all getting to retirement age. Their businesses have reached maturity. They don't have a succession plan in place, i.e. their sons or daughters or friends and family don't want to take over the business. They don't have anyone suitable to succeed in that business. So they have to now come to market. Now, this is a trend globally. It's not just in the UK. This is a massive trend in the US where all the baby boomers are now getting to retirement age and want to sell off those assets. However, there's not enough buyers out there to feed the market, to buy up all these businesses. So as a buyer, when I'm looking at all the different options, I can look at an electrical business, a transport business, a marketing business, and I've got other options in that industry. And as a buyer, I'm going to pick the best one. I'm going to pick the one with the best profit, the best team, the best history, and the easiest seller to actually work with. So a misconception is that it's a seller's market. It's not. It's a buyer's market for all those reasons I've just touched on. Another misconception is that it's easy to sell a business and someone will buy it. Again, that's not true. If you have a business where you are the driving force of that business, you are the engine of that business, no one's going to pay money for that business because they're effectively buying a job. If I was to buy a business and the owner is running around doing all the quotes, he's out on the tools doing the tasks, he's answering the phone calls for sales inquiries, he's dealing with all the staff and the HR issues, that is not a sustainable business. It's not a business with any real value. And if I was to buy that, I'm buying myself a job. So it's not necessarily easy to sell a business. It's easier than you may think, but you need to build a business that has various systems and good people around it that someone actually wants to buy and purchase. So you need to strip yourself away from the day-to-day running of the business, and that can take time. That can take typically anything between 1 and 3 years to fully achieve. So that's something to bear in mind. And another misconception that I hear all the time is that your business is turning over a fortune, the revenue is really high, so therefore I should be able to sell that business. Revenue is one of these red herrings where if you are basing your revenue, your sale purchase on the revenue, it's a red herring because business buyers, sophisticated buyers, are looking at the profit of that business. That's typically how a business will be valued. The vanilla approach is you will take the profit over the last 3 years. It could be operating profit, EBITDA, net profit. People use different metrics and then apply a multiple to that across a 3-year average. And that is how you typically would structure and value a business. If you don't have profit, if you're using that business to put loads of expenses through and just to minimize tax, yes, you can explain that away, but a buyer is not going to buy revenue because you can't pay the wages with revenue. You need to pay the wages or profit necessarily. You need to pay with cash and profit. So that's really, really important. And that's another misconception. So if you're looking for more information on this sort of stuff, head to my LinkedIn profile at Stephen Pettigrew Investor, or check out my website, www.monopolycapital.com. So on the next episode, we're going to go through another key point when it comes to valuing and selling your business. But for now, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you got some value from it, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.